was introduced as a filmmaker, and I kind of make films. I actually make human portraits, as was intimated, and I shoot people from very close physically, but also I shoot them very close metaphorically. I guess you could call them metaphorically naked, but I couldn't put metaphorically on that title because it was a slip to a second line. So feel free to leave if it's the wrong place. Okay. Anyway, I'll loosen up. Maybe that's more appropriate. Through a decade of making such films, I wanted to share something that I thought was quite profound about the human condition, or the way that we see each other, or more to the point, don't see each other. And I thought I'd start with a sequence of some of my friends that I've made through the films. And then I will tell you all about them and talk about the blindness of our human condition.
It's your last day in this world. Oh, you have to enjoy your last day.
I'm sorry. That's the way it is.
I think I'm a freedom fighter. I'm a freedom fighter.
Like, I can say things and actually believe some of what comes out of my mouth.
It's inspirational, I guess, to walk through the doors and feel the love that you feel from the people around you.
Our nature is to find that joy, that fulfillment, that, whatever you call, in simple things.
Ever since we lost Carlos Javier, family has taken a different meaning.
I mean, it does take courage, and life does take courage. It takes courage to face your desolation. It takes courage to face your sadness. It takes courage to be on your own with it.
This is not how it should be. I want it to be more simple. Stop this ride. We want to get off.
I think we get caught up in this illusion that we're separate.
It doesn't matter what's on the outside of people. It doesn't matter what their story is. It doesn't matter that they're rich or poor or black or white. Or what matters is that, like, they all want to be a part of something. They all want to be loved. They all have the capacity to be loved, even when they don't, even when they can't see it themselves.
We are together in such a simple way that there is full permission to be who we are.
Who am I to dare, really, to be seen? That's it.
Where on earth do you find these people? That was a question I got asked after making maybe 4 or 5 films. And I remember sitting there hearing that and thinking, what an odd question. Like, I got lucky and everyone lived in the right zip code. All the cool people who are really open and joyful and sad and would say so. And then I realized, like so many questions that we all ask, that we seldom say what we mean. And I realized that the very first person that asked me that, and by the way, it's been asked pretty much every week in 10 years of me, what they were saying is, I can't see them. I can't see those people around me. I can't see them metaphorically naked, if you like. I think, the causes of a lot of the things we look at and we look to solve, the experience of our life, the very hard experience of our life often, we don't look deep enough. The causes lie deep and we look all around. I want to introduce you to David. It's only a small sequence out of a film I made. I think it's a 7-minute film, but this is just like a minute. I just want you to meet him.
People who look like me aren't supposed to feel confident and comfortable in their own skin. My face is a gift, and because I've been forced to find my inner beauty. Growing up facially disfigured, you sort of feel like it's important to project an image of normality. I learned to be charming. I learned to have a sense of humor, and so there. And so I think, that I learned ways to not be myself. But everybody learns those ways when you're facially different. You live in a world of like double takes and stares and averted glances and things that are like a constant reminder that you're different. People still come up to me and say, God loves you, things like that. I listen to them, and I appreciate that they're trying to say something encouraging to me. The deepest fear, though, is that the fear of everybody has the fear of being disfigured, that they are disfigured.
It's a very stark physical example. It's so obvious when someone looks so very different to everyone else. But I can assure you, figuratively, you're disfigured. We all are. I think the underlying belief through that opaque glass is that we're not enough. And yeah, you're probably sitting there going, well, yeah, absolutely, I'm enough. I've achieved this and I've achieved that. But I don't think that's the condition. Not what I see. I see, timidity everywhere. Everywhere. Everyone. But there is a place inside people where that doesn't exist, and that's really what I want to examine. And one of the most important outputs, if you like, of being timid, of believing underneath it all, even unconsciously, that you are not enough. And of course, the world supports that everywhere you look, especially in the Western world. You're not enough. There's someone you should be, and there's somewhere else you should be. Perpetual motion. There's no ability to just stand and go, this is enough. I'm enough. And so you set out to tell the world what you think it needs to hear in order to extract a result. Sometimes it's a conscious result. I want you to do something for me. Most of the time, it's to get you what you really, truly need, which is to be a part of something, to be a part of everything, no matter what. You want to be. So you tell stories that lead back to your self-importance. Although you don't call it self-importance, that's kind of what it is. When you meet or you collide with an experience of authenticity, and I know that's a much overused word, but I'll use it, authenticity, where there is a conversation or an encounter with someone, and neither party is trying to move the world in their favor. Organization, in an organization is not trying to build itself to be bigger. An individual isn't trying to make themselves more important so that they're a part of the world. When you meet that experience of authenticity, it's almost disarming. I mean, it's very stark, if you notice it. I'm going to introduce you to an extraordinary guy called Simon. Just a short piece of a film I made. The context is that Simon and Finn, his son, were about as close as two human beings can be, if you can imagine that. And his son was stabbed to death. And this is just a little bit of what came of that through my camera. It's not the full film. And I want to tell you about the experience of what came back at me and what I noticed, because I think it's important.
We saw clouds just kind of forming and being made and floating into the sky. And Finn said, "What's that, Dad?" And I said, "Dad," Finn, that's a cloud factory. That's where all the clouds of the whole world." It was like the heart was ripped out of the world, really. I feel terribly, terribly lonely since Finn died. I've never ever felt this lonely. Walking in the night where there's nowhere to go, walking in the night where you've got the phone with you, but you've got no words to say to anybody. There's no words left anymore. No words to say. But you're in the right place because you're in complete touch with the desolation and the loss and the love you have for your child. Sadness and beauty are very close, I think. Very, very close. It's very much about being courageous and staying in the place you need to be. And if that's grief, then that's grief.
I want to tell you about the experience of making this film, because I noticed that the space between people is the most extraordinary and intangible space. And once something's intangible, we tend not to really pay too much attention to it because it's intangible, because you can't put your finger on it. And if you can't put your finger on it, it probably doesn't exist, but it's probably the opposite. And so when I ended up in London making this film, which is where I'm from, I can remember, the very visceral experience of walking to his flat in East London and the noises and the light and the feeding of the parking meter, and walking up and thinking, what on earth am I going to experience? I haven't lost a child. I have no idea. To be honest, I didn't even know whether we were going to make a film about this, because I'm never going to make a film about anything. Human being first. My only job is to see that person from behind whatever's in the way. And the storyline, if there is a storyline, comes out after that. But I can remember the feeling of going, that I am not in control. There's no way I can direct this. Like all my films, to be honest, there's no way I could have rehearsed this. There's no way I can even know what's going to happen. And I can remember the feeling of no control and the kind of implicit trust that had to exist there. And I can remember walking up the stairwell to the flat and obviously nervous Simon in some respects, not knowing the same thing, what was going to happen. And I can remember the starting of a conversation without the planning of a conversation. I never go in with a question. As soon as I go in with a question or a list of questions, I'm directing it. It's like I'm trying to push it down this thing. In fact, I premiered this film at Georgetown University 3 hours after the Newtown shootings. And I had no idea. And people were leaving the auditorium at the back and coming back in. And I remember talking about how I made this film and that all the things that traditionally storytellers or the media would look at about the murder and the stabbing and the drama of it and the trial, it wasn't interesting. What good is it? In most respects, it's not good. It was the very human experience of this. So I can remember talking, kind of, or listening, and I can remember the words coming from Simon. And I don't know if you saw it in his eyes, but the words were coming out, and it was like he was hiding behind these words, and we were talking about all sorts of things. I can't remember exactly what, but it was psychiatric nursing, it was all sorts of things, and all I could think was, don't get in the way, just wait, just listen, because these aren't the words. These words are the things that need to come out, almost like the words needed to finish before what was meant to be said would come out. And then the horrible silence. And I get that a lot, where mostly people are looking for me to say something, to ask a question, to steer it off an uncomfortable place. But that's no good. You'll never see anyone. So there's this space between us. And normally in a space between us, if you cast your mind to any conversation with anyone at pretty much any time, in that conversation, there are some big things in the way, which means you think you can see someone, but you actually can't. You have an opinion, if you like, a judgment about that person, about how they look, about where they come from, about the story you've heard, about the opinions you've heard from someone else. and they're totally obscured, though it's intangible. And from my side, there could be a need. I want to make a good film. I want to make a film that serves the world. I can never do that. I can only make what I see. And so, but these opinions and judgments and needs and all sorts of things get in the way, and I can't see. So the only job is to what I best come to know as witness. So to give enough space and no direction at all about where this is going to go. And I'm talking about something which is really, it's not a nice subject. This is a film about courage and desolation, and the courage not to turn away from something that pretty much everyone would turn away from, into a bottle, into work, into a relationship, into anything but. But he didn't do that, which I thought was kind of beyond admirous. But this film could be anything. It could be any encounter. It could be you talking out there. You know, you feel yourself talking, you're talking about ideas, but the conversations are leading down the same train tracks that you've always led those conversations down, which end up at you and what you do and what you need out of the world. These conversations and this space between, when you realize that, oh, you know, you look different and you've had different experiences, but the very same look, and the very same look does exist in everyone. I mean, I filmed in the corridors of powers, I've filmed in high security, gang murderers' jails, or jail, not twice, AIDS hospices, dying people, living people, people searching for this and that, courage and joy, and all sorts of stuff. And the same look exists in the eye. Every time. Every time. If you give someone the space, and the space between is not full of all the things that you want unconsciously, the most amazing things happen. And I mean, it's not just in these very human qualities of all the things we usually dare not talk about. It's in everything. It is everything. It's in the organizational mission of someone. You know, the purpose of my work in the world is, and of course, what you tend to say in those situations is you tell the world what you think it needs to hear in order for them to think you're cool and buy from you or make you important or invite you to speak at a TED talk or, which that's not what I did actually. Maybe I should have done. And it's any situation. And what I've discovered, or what I've kind of observed, is there's no one who doesn't want to be like that, to talk like that, to be what you might term authentic, although we've probably come up with another word, which is, I don't know, maybe human is a good word for it. There's no one that I know of that wouldn't go there, given the safe space. And it is about implicit trust. And it's about courage as well. I was asked by a magazine, a Hollywood-based magazine once, to write 300 words that were meaningful to me. And I thought, hey, I'm in the meaning business, I guess, if there was a business of anything. I thought it'd be easy, and I found it was really quite difficult, because what I took on was, I want the task of saying why I'm doing what I'm doing in the world. Because I never meant to. I was just sitting quietly in a hotel one day, and the idea came to me, out of the ether almost. And there's a stark difference between wanting something and believing it and knowing it. And this was knowing. It's like you can't question it. And so I wanted to understand that. And I thought and I thought and I thought and I thought, and I drank a lot of coffee, even more coffee. It was good coffee, here in the Twin Cities. And I realized that I had this compelling, it's not even a belief, just a knowing that we're all inextricably connected no matter what. There's no exception. There just isn't. And that the person facing you has to be no one else. They can be at some stage, but right here, right now, that's okay. And so I came up with a poem. I write a lot of poems, which is, I have no idea why. I was a 240-pound, 30-pound rugby player. Never owned a poetry book, but I wrote these 63 words. I didn't use the 400, and I want to finish on this, because I think it kind of caught, for me, it caught this. I'm just going to play some slides while I read it. So as you saw, the poem is called One Same Heartbeat. Each of us stands seemingly alone as we cry out for evidence that we belong. And as we cry out silently through the actions of our everyday, we step further from our own sight, further from the experience of our one same heartbeat. But in the flicker of a single moment, we might remember that there are no separate lives and that we've never been alone.